So you know that thing that Nintendo does when they're talking about games and systems in their marketing material, commercials, Nintendo Directs, and whatnot. That thing where they can't just say Super Mario Odyssey. They have to say the Super Mario Odyssey game or, the Nintendo Switch system. That thing. I don't know how far back it goes. I can't remember if there was like a definite time when they started or if I just started noticing it. I don't know. Nintendo's always been weird, but this is one I've been kind of wanting to do like a video on it or something. Maybe it's not quite interesting enough for a main channel video, and that's why it hasn't happened. But it's something that it fascinates me. It's very interesting because it's just why. Why would they do it if it's so awkward and nobody else does it? And I always had to imagine that it was just something that the right person at Nintendo wanted to do, especially with like Nintendo, the whole like the Japanese work culture thing. It's just like the people at the top, well, like what they say goes, you know what I mean? And sometimes they will have these ideas that may be rooted in old-fashioned beliefs or methods or something. So like sometimes they'll just have these weird ideas of how things have to work. So my assumption has always been it's just the way some guy wanted it to be, Probably not even like the president, because the president of Nintendo has changed a number of times over the last handful of years. We've had 3 different presidents in the last 10 years, and yet this has persisted. So like somebody, just one of those top executive guys, or maybe multiple of them, they just got this idea in their head that that's how it has to work. That's how they have to say it. I didn't think there was any like weird reasoning. And there's always been like this idea that there might be some like legal reasoning. That idea doesn't really hold water. But I guess we'll talk about that in a sec. The reason this comes up is because somebody finally asked Krista Yang, who, as you probably know, used to work at Nintendo. Polygon asked her what the deal was with this thing, and she had the following to say. She says, essentially, this is a legal requirement for Nintendo to properly refer to their products at all times. The legal and intellectual property teams at Nintendo are very strict with how products are referred to. The legal team would use the example of the brand Band-Aid and how that is actually a brand name, but now the name has been diluted as people refer to any bandages as a Band-Aid. They do not want this to happen to any Nintendo product, hence the very stilted way they would refer to all products. Now, I absolutely do not doubt that there are, intellectual property teams at Nintendo who are very strict. The whole Paper Mario, like Mario character thing comes to mind, how like they have like literal rules about what they can and can't do, how much they're allowed to alter these characters. And, as far as like Mario and creative characters goes, there was a thing for a while where it was confirmed, it was directly confirmed that those teams said there were very, very strict boundaries about what they could do creatively with Mario. We have seen that since then, they have eased up. They have realized that they were really just wrong. They're being a little too heavy-handed with this stuff. So yeah, I have no doubt that there is a team at Nintendo who feels this way. That just, yes, that is how we have to refer to these games because of the whole Band-Aid thing. I get that. I get that someone thinks it, and that's why they think that it's a thing. I do not believe that this is legally required. I can see why Nintendo might want to protect themselves just in case. Maybe they think that later there could be legal issues. Maybe they don't want there to be a legal precedent for things being referred to in a certain way. Maybe they're just trying to prevent any potential issues and, with the diluting of their name or whatever. But I do not believe that this is a legal requirement because, as we mentioned, why does no one else do it? And it really is as simple as that. I mean, I can't claim to know much about all this, but at the very least, I can look at Nintendo and see that they're doing it. And then look, I mean, I haven't watched quite all of the marketing material for every other game that's ever been released by every other company of all time. Not quite, but I haven't seen this anywhere else. I do watch a lot of video game marketing material from a lot of other companies, a lot of Nintendo's own rivals, and they don't do it. They just don't. So if no one else but Nintendo does it, and Nintendo is claiming that it's a legal requirement, I am a little bit doubtful. I'm a little bit doubtful that is a requirement. It's kind of like that whole idea where people have spread around the idea that Nintendo has to take down fan games and fan projects because otherwise they're not protecting their IP, which is like, it's an idea that when you hear it, it makes sense, and so you want to like spread it, you want to say it, but then you look at all the other companies and you see that they're not doing that. In most cases, they're not being so strict about how their stuff is used, and there's no problem. There just isn't. You know, there just isn't a problem. There are big companies that are not so strict about this stuff, and it's not a problem for them. There's no judge being like, oh, well, we're gonna make your IP go public domain because you didn't protect it well enough. It's just not a thing. You could say that maybe in some cases you do have to make sure to uphold a precedent or not set a bad precedent. Yeah, sometimes, but not every time. Not most of the times that people say it. You know, most of the time when people say, oh, they have to for this reason, it's not usually true. So I think about that when I look at all this. If no one else is doing it, why does Nintendo have to do it? Maybe Nintendo has this idea in their mind that like, well, they're all stupid because it's gonna matter someday. Or there's enough of a chance that it might matter someday that we should do it this way. Now, these other companies someday, they're gonna be caught in a tough situation and they're gonna be wishing that they could go back in time and refer to their game as the Monster Hunter Wilds game. Like, you know, I don't know. I really don't get it. And so that's why, to me, it really just, it just has to come down to just preferences. It has to come down to just someone at Nintendo or a team at Nintendo feeling like it's a thing that they should do, even though it is weird and it is awkward, and I don't think they should. I mean, maybe I should like it. It is a little bit of that Nintendo charm. You know, we're always talking about Nintendo charm, and that is just one of those weird, strange relics of the past I suppose I should be happy about. We don't ever want Nintendo to stop being weird completely, right? We don't want them to be backwards about stuff anymore, but like, weird? They should stay weird. If they're not referring to it as the Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV Switch 2 Edition game for the Switch 2 system, then that's not the Nintendo I know, you know? I do have to wonder, though. I do have to wonder if this is, I'm like, I can't believe that it's gonna stick around forever. You know, like so many other things, so many areas where Nintendo has been a little bit weird or backwards, like, these things do eventually change, but this one has really, really stuck around. And I have to wonder if there is a future when it happens, they finally just go, let's just stop doing that stupid thing. Let's stop making our announcers and voiceover people have to say this big, silly mouthful of words. It's so awkward. I really cannot stress enough how awkward it is to put the at the beginning and game at the end. It's so unnecessary. And if and when it happens, will it be obvious? Will we like catch it? Will they be like, you know, Super Mario, whatever? And then we'll be like, wait a minute, something feels wrong. something feels wrong here, and I don't quite know what it is. But that voiceover guy in the trailer just said the name of the game, and I don't know, it just sent like a chill through me. I don't understand. And on that day, the Nintendo I used to know will truly be dead.